I've recently noticed a resurgence among jazz musicians in exploring the harmony of the Impressionists, notably Ravel. And I say resurgence because in jazz, it is a well-known fact that the bebop pioneers discovered how to use upper extensions from analyzing the music of Debussy and Ravel. For example, listen to this brief passage from Ravel's Tomb of Couperin. You can hear various cadences featuring chords with extensions that we now commonly hear in jazz. Even if you're familiar with those sounds, you should know that the exploration of Impressionist harmony on behalf of jazz musicians did not end with the discovery of upper extensions. As a matter of fact, post-bop musicians have kept going back and learning to incorporate other harmonic elements introduced by the Impressionists. That said, today I want to begin to share some of these other resources which are lesser known, and especially how you can apply them in the context of many well-known standards. And notice that I said begin to share. That's because there is so much to learn here that I am making this video the first of a two-part lesson series. And without further ado, I want to begin with the first 8 measures of 4-lane, which is the third movement of the Tomb of Couperin. But I want you to listen to a piano excerpt of this section first, from which we will extract all sorts of harmonic gems throughout this series. And this is all practical stuff, so please stick with me because I am going to show you how to apply it to many well-known standards. The most used chord in the segment you just heard, especially by many post-bop jazz musicians, is Ravel's diminished major 7, which is the main subject of today's lesson. If we look at the 4th measure, on the first beat we have a clear example of a G diminished major 7, and we are going to analyze it according to the whole half symmetrical diminished scale. And from bottom to top, we have the G or root, a sharp, which is enharmonic for B flat, which is the minor 3rd, and we have C sharp, which is enharmonic for D flat, or the diminished 5th, and F sharp, which is the major 7th. And there is another instance of it on the first beat of measure 3, although it's inverted and has a different root. And before I explain it, let me remind you that these are symmetrical diminished chords. So they invert symmetrically up or down in minor 3rds or tritones, that is augmented 4ths. Therefore, a C diminished chord can also be viewed as an E flat, G flat, or A diminished chord. That said, here in measure 3 from bottom to top, we have A, E sharp, which is enharmonic for F, G sharp, which is enharmonic for A flat, and B. And these are all notes that belong to the C symmetrical diminished. And because this could also be an E flat, G flat, or A scale, it is unpractical to assign an intervallic function to each chord tone. But most important of all is how to use this chord in context. So here's the diminished major 7 chord in C. If we take a regular diminished chord, where we have the C on the top voice here on the first string, and we bring down an octave that that root. And then we have the 7th half step below it. That's the C diminished major 7th chord. And there are different variations. This is one of my favorites. Here's another one. And of course, these structures are meaningless unless you put them in a harmonic context where they resolve to another chord. And originally, Ravel, in the passage that we examined, resolves it to a F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So he goes. But there are different possible resolutions that we can use in jazz harmony. And first I'd like to show you the auxiliary diminished function. And what that means simply is that whatever the root is on the diminished chord, so if we have a C diminished major 7th, it's going to resolve to some kind of C chord, usually a C major 7 or a C6, for example. Now, because these chords are symmetrical, if you go up and take this C diminished major 7, a minor 3rd up, and place it over the 2nd degree of the key of C, a D, it will still resolve to some kind of C chord. Or you can also go up to the augmented 5th. So that would be A flat or G sharp, and place that structure, and it'll resolve to the 1 chord in C. Let me use a different variation here. We can also go to the relative minor. And here we're placing the major 7th over the 2nd degree of A minor. If we have an A minor major 7, we can place this A diminished major 7th here and resolve it to A minor 6. And some standards that come to mind where you can use the auxiliary diminished would be, let's try this one, see if you recognize it. Here's one that's not that well known, but I really love it. Spring is Here. unforgettable. Before we continue, I want to tell you about the download for this lesson. It includes the materials for both lessons in this series. That is, PDFs with all the examples and theory, most of which feature regular notation as well as tablature, 8 notated examples of standards using Ravel's diminished major 7 chord, the sus4 major 7 chord in its application, Ravel's chords in fifths, also impressionist turnarounds using Ravel harmony, MP3s of everything, and much, much more. And you can download this mega study package for a nominal contribution from jazzguitar.richiezelland.com/premium. And you will find a direct link in the info section down below this video. So these chords can also be used with a different function aside from that of the auxiliary that I just demonstrated. And this is the dominant function. It's the secondary dominant. And all you have to do is think of the original diminished chord, half step down from the root of the chord that you're targeting. So let's say you're targeting an A6, A major 6. Half step below that would be G sharp. And the diminished major 7 would be, see, it resolves half step up. They're always symmetrical, so you can do it here, half step above the root that you're going to resolve to. Also resolve to minor. So here's a rhythm changes progression. Famous 1-6-2-5-1 progression, and let's use that diminished major 7th here with the dominant function. So instead of playing the G7 that resolves to the C minor, which is the 2 chord in B flat, we're going to play a B diminished major 7. I truly hope you have learned something new so far, and I encourage you to watch the upcoming second part of this series. In it, we will delve even deeper into Ravel's harmony and learn how to apply some exciting concepts that many post-bop musicians are now incorporating. As usual, I appreciate your likes, comments, and welcome your questions. And if this is your first time on this channel and you enjoyed this lesson, please be sure to subscribe. I'm Richie Zelland, and I look forward to bringing you another info-filled lesson real soon. Until then, you know the drill. Practice, 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 and rinse and repeat. May peace be with you. Nos vemos pronto.